Hey, yes, sir. All right, welcome to Ocean Waves episode 15. I think it's 15. Episode 15. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. I can't I can't believe I can't remember what the episode is. Let me just clarify. I think I'm just because I might be a little bit. Yeah. All right. 15. Episode 15. Ocean Waves. And as you can see, I am by myself, but I am Indigo, Reyen, the Navigator. Um, I guess just for the backstory of why I'm by myself right now. We started this journey, Oceans on Arrival, doing the podcast 19 weeks ago, and so yesterday's podcast should have been 19, but it was only 14. So that means we slacked like 5 weeks. And there was different things that came up and stuff like that. Everyone's got lives, it makes sense. But I think for myself, I would say that as an obligation to the listener and the fans, people in general, and then importantly the universe, just embarking on this quest and knowing what it could lead to is just you have to put in the work and get better at it and do better and do it multiple times and keep doing it. And as part of the I guess agreement with the universe and doing this for it to actually work and for it to be monumental in people's lives, I have to do the steps. I have to make the steps, do the work to get to that point so that it can happen. So it would be wrong of me to do all the work and nothing happen, and or it would be wrong for me to do all this work and nothing happen. It would also be wrong for me not to do any work because of what could happen. So here I am catching up because this is 15. I'm on a Gauntlet quest of 1 week, but 8 days really, 2 Thursdays, back to back to get back to where we started, having at least one per week. That's the goal. And I think with everyone else, we had a good conversation yesterday on and off the mic, and just more understanding within each other. And it's not an obligation for everyone to be on it each week. It's not like a job to be like you have to be here to do the podcast, but at the same time, it's like I'm really trying to figure out a way that I don't have to go to like a job as my source of income, in the sense that if I could spend 40 hours a week doing this and music and all the things that go in it, I would 100% be doing that. So it's in the sense of this is one of the outlets I think that could produce growth financially and spiritually and everything for me, other people, everyone. So I just feel like in that space, it's not an obligation to do it, but we have to be like communicative, communicative. I don't know, one of those words, but communicate that like we're not gonna do it, or I'm not gonna be there for that one, and just different things that way. Because to be honest, a lot of the times the reason why we've missed 5 is because when it gets to the point where I realize that it's just gonna be me, I'm like, at that point I've been off work and it's easier to just like not do it. So now to catch up, to make it easier on myself, editing wise and all that stuff, and getting back to at least one a week and maybe even more, I'm doing this gauntlet to get, and at that point, when we do it each day, we will get to, by the next podcast, which should be 20, it'll actually be 21. getting us one ahead, which is good because the Ravens, shout out Lamar and the whole flock, the Ravens, if they win more than one playoff game, at least one playoff game, the first one, then I'll be gone for a week. So, we'll see how it goes. I've been saying that the Ravens have been like, I wouldn't say the best team. I did say last year too, but definitely top 3. I've been saying we've been one of the best teams for the past at least 2-3 years. And, Lamar's rookie season, he came in for Flacco, and we went to the playoffs and we lost because we started passing when we ran all year. It was weird. And then the next year, Lamar was a starter, and he got MVP. And that was the big Lamar year, and we went 14-2, and we lost to the Titans at home. And I remember my friend Shane, shout out to Shane, he was devastated. Like, I've never seen him more, like, devastated than that in our entire years of knowing each other, like, ups and downs and whatever, but I've never seen him more devastated when we were in the basement in his Baltimore crib after that loss. That was because we hadn't lost in months. The Ravens did not lose. So it was like you're eating like a regular loss on top of the fact that like all this stuff, But then the next, couple years go by, like 2 years ago, we're 8 wins again, early season. Lamar goes down whole season. We lose the last like 6 or 7, like something ridiculous. And then the year after that, Lamar goes down again. And then Huntley's in. We get to the playoffs, and we play the Bengals. We're winning, and Huntley tries to dive from the 2 or whatever happened in that play call, and he fumbled at like the half-yard line or 0.1-yard line, and they ran it all the way back, changed the game. Bengals win. So that was tough. But just the fact that it's like we've been that good, and when you're a fan of the team, you're like more like, oh yeah, well, my team is legit, blah blah blah. But I feel like, in my perspective of sports, like I've done better at removing emotion from the sport and just watching for what the entertainment side of it is. And that's a lot of these things are like, they're not really, if you look them up like dictionary definition type vibe, you find that they're entertainment businesses versus like just like a sport. So in that sense, it's like the entertainment's trying to make money. The money's a big influence, advertisements, all that stuff. So you never know. I mean, so definitely this year, if no random pass interference calls that don't get called and shit like that, like when Drew Brees and the Saints got robbed, as long as that doesn't happen, I think the Ravens have a good chance of at least making the Super Bowl. And we'll see what happens there. I definitely think we can win. We're the best team in the NFL right now. Technically, we've smashed all the teams we've played that are in that playoff contention, except for the Browns. That's scary with the Joe Flacco. That could definitely be like a story that I even said like 2 months ago right when he got signed to the Browns. I was like, I hope we don't play them in the playoffs. I would be so mad if Joe Flacco, he played phenomenal that season, those 4 games in the playoffs when the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Yes. Did he need all that money? No. Like, the team just like depleted. He has a great arm. He's great at football. But at the same time, it's like, for the money, just wrecked the Ravens. We weren't good for a while. The overall like vibe of the team dropped some. And then I remember I was in college, and the draft's going on. It's a Thursday, and on Thursdays we go to the bar and be like 2 for 1 drink, so we go do that. And I remember like we're like pre-gaming it at the like place that's closest to the bar, and I look at the TV and the Ravens are picking, and they pick Hayden Hurst. And I'm like, oh, whatever, tight end. Then it goes back again, and the Ravens are back on the clock at like what 30 or 31 or whatever, 32 maybe. And I'm like, oh shit, Ravens get a pick, boom boom, Lamar Jackson. And at that point, this actually occurred to me watching the Georgia FSU game for any of those college football people. I remember I saw a little thing after that, like 46% of money was on the Florida State. I'm assuming to cover, not to win, but still, either way. And I realized then that I was like, and Georgia can't bet. You can't bet on DraftKings in Georgia. So if you could, that would have been definitely not the case because all the people in Georgia would have just put money on Georgia blindly or knowingly, right? So, but up north and like it's weird where you are in the United States is like what like I guess not really propaganda, but like whatever like sport, whatever like news, entertainment, whatever that city's vibe is, like you get that style of everything, right? So down in the south, like college football is so big, so like all the places around, like everywhere, people in Georgia, like they know about college football players, like all that stuff, but up in the north is more like professional sports, like NFL, blah blah blah, and things like that. Like the college, like Saturday wasn't a big thing. Saturdays are bigger than Sundays in the South, which is crazy because the NFL is so big. So but knowing that, it's like whatever market you're in, you're gonna get a different like news and different info and whatever. So the fact that 46% of the money was on FSU was crazy because they got it was like the most split or like biggest scoring differential in a bowl game or whatever. So, but now with the 12 teams next year, there'll be more. Like the good teams won't get like knocked out right away. They might not win, but they'll at least get a chance to be in there. So, and it's not like so that's good. But I can't remember why I went to that thought, but it's just, I think it was because I was talking about the team. So yeah, so for instance, like the Ravens, or the Leafs. I remember we went to the Leafs game 2 years ago against Tampa Bay, Game 6, and the Leafs were up 3-2, and they called a bullshit penalty on the power play, so they got a 5-on-3, and 5-on-3, man, like. Especially when 5-on-3 isn't a guaranteed goal, but when you got a really good team, yeah, 5-on-3 is pretty deadly. So it's the best chance you can give the other team, really, right? So they score that, and then they get a fluky goal like in front of the net, just like slips in, and Tampa Bay wins. And I was devastated. I remember I was devastated, and that's funny because I was talking about taking my emotion out. Like I've been better at taking the emotion out of the sports and stuff like that, not letting it depict my fantasy is a little different because like you want to win and be on the trophy. Mark won. Shout out to Mark. My team, I was 7-7, but I had the closest like points for and points or like no maybe I didn't. No, I think it was Eddie. I can't remember who, but a lot of my games were so close, and it was like me just making a dumb decision right before the game start, like just like switching something or not playing a player, and you were like not that like like you knew it, but it's just like you're not looking at it right. So it's just that sense my season, like I could have been like 10-3 or 10-4 or whatever, and looked way better. But then we get to the playoffs, and I win the last 2 games this season. I'm on a bit. My team's the hottest team. First week of the playoffs, highest scoring team like multiple weeks in a row, and then Eddie and I are the highest scoring teams the next week. But Eddie has Amari Cooper, and then he's up by like 6 going into the Christmas, and Devontae Adams gets 1 catch, so now he's up by like 5, and Jalen Hurts goes dumb, and Brock Purdy throws 4 picks. Now, I could have played Jordan Love and Zay Flowers, and that would have got me the win. That was the most likely scenario. I also had Joe Flacco, who would have got me the win if I would have played Joe Flacco because Amari Cooper went off, with that huge day. So just those 2 things it's just like it wasn't meant for me to win, and but I definitely felt like I had the best team with it. And then the next week comes, Mark and Eddie have like just they both had bad games, but Mark ends up winning. He goes undefeated. Congrats to him. But that's how fantasy goes, man. Matchups, all the things like those when the bye weeks hit. So that's why it's fun. Because if like it was about who watched football the most or blah blah blah, it wouldn't be fun. Because then it was like it's like whoever spends the most time, which is a lot of things. Whoever spends the most time, but it's not like a skill. It's just like how much time do you devote to the NFL, and how much did you play football and different things like that. But when it comes to fantasy, it's like anything could happen. There's so many players that just come alive at the end, and it's so like it's really just about like can you find the best possible lineup for your team that week, and if you play the best, there's a good chance that the other team isn't going to play their best lineup, and just that alone might give you the win, right? So first, like it could be, so there's so many things. And once you get to the playoffs, so once you're in, and then anything can happen in the playoffs. Like if another team would have played Lamar Jackson instead of Tua in the last week of the season, then Lamar Jackson, which I don't know why they didn't, because Lamar Jackson's a beast, but just they're riding that Tua Tyreek vibe. But they both have terrible games. Lamar Jackson balls out. And if they would have done that, then I would have been 8th, and they would have been 7th. I would have beaten Mark. Then the number 2 team would have went down. And to them, they would have, I beat number 2, number 7 still would have been number 2. So then it would have been me versus Calvin and Eddie versus them. And then Eddie would have won, and I would have beat Mark that second week because my team balled out. Or I would have beat Mark, and then I would have beat Calvin. So I would have beat both because Eddie and I's team both balled out, but Eddie just did better than I's. So then it would have been me versus Eddie in the finals, and I beat both Eddie and Mark the last week. So it was like, oh man, there's so many ways that I could have been me, but it wasn't. And that's why it's like, it's fun, dude. Like, it would have been nice for me to win, of course. I thought I had a great chance to win, But Mark gets it. He gets the undefeated crown, take it in the next season. He'll be like the Patriots of the league. And, it's like you don't have to win to enjoy it. That's what you have to, like, obviously when you're doing something and you want to win, like you want to, like, if you're competitive at all, you want to win. So, but then it's like sometimes when you win in certain moments, like if you play like a 6-year-old in basketball and you just whoop them every time, that will like get them better eventually. Like they'll get better and whatever. But at the same time, like maybe a 6-year-old doesn't need to lose every time, And it's not about like losing, like them knowing they beat you, but just in the sense of like giving them wins. Letting it happen where it's like the game is close. Things like that where it gives people, I feel like it gives people like positive reinforcement, positive motivation versus like always being like, if you always block them, you got to let them shoot to get better at shooting. You can't just block them every time. So, in that mindset, it's like I've gotten better and over time in different ways of being like okay with losing, and not because like, oh, I lost or I could have done this. Just like in moments where it's like I don't need to win this to win. It's like the long game is the win. Like, you might win the first 100 yards, but at the end of the day, what's the score gonna say? So that's how I feel. I feel like like I'm not trying, and I don't want people to think I'm saying like, oh, like losing is good or like it's okay to lose. Like, it's okay to lose if you're gonna win at something else. Not like, oh, I lost, like it's fine, like I don't whatever. Like you have to go for the win. But sometimes winning doesn't mean that it's 17-16. Maybe winning means that you had fun. And maybe in that moment you having 16 and them having 17 makes it more fun. than you having 17, so that perspective. But yeah, that's the intro, I guess. Little like segue into episode 15. Shout out the Ravens, shout out the Leafs. I definitely think the Ravens can do it as long as they don't pull some bullshit. I'm just excited that I can go and it lined up where it doesn't destroy financially. Like almost perfectly lined up for me this year. So in that perspective, it's nice, man. So we'll see, man. But I know that it's not just about it's not just about the game. There's so much more than the game going on when it's NFL. So at that point in time, like I'm not gonna put you can't put your whole energy and life into it. But it's fun though. It's entertainment. It's fun to root. And if you've been rooting for one team and they're doing good, it's like that's the time to really invest in it. Obviously, And it's like I like it now because now people can see like the Ravens, like people like who are just watching it and they're not in the market of the Ravens. And I'm not in the market of the Ravens anymore. I'm just following. I just like I'm a Ravens fan. So, and I've been a Ravens fan. So, in that sense, like. Now that the team has been good, it hasn't been like a false like when the first time when I went to the first game, the Leafs lost. The next year, the Leafs come back, Game 6 in Tampa Bay, and it's another close game. Knew it was gonna be just an absolute grinder. I just like knew it, and like we were talking about it. I talked about it in February. I was like, right now the Leafs and the Lightning are locked into play. And if it stays like this, the Leafs will be there for Game 6 again. And I was like, it's just divine, bro. Like, Game 6 in Tampa Bay, 1 year later, me, Jason, and Eddie, we go again. Obviously, we talked about it for months. Once I saw that it was possible, I manifested it in some way, happening. We go to Game 6. It's a close game. Goes to OT again. And then this time, there's a shot or whatever. I can't remember the whole play. It's fucking nuts. But I do remember the goalies we're on the side where the Leafs shoot twice because it's cheaper. One, and like obviously I want to watch the Leafs shoot. So we're on that side, Tampa Bay goalie. But then overtime they switch, so now we're on the Tampa Bay goalie side. I think we're on the opposite side of where the players sit, if I believe, right? And we're up high, and we're like one of the last rows. Whatever. But we had the perfect angle because the goalie's on the right side of the post. He's tilted. He's angled, and it goes through his pads, through his legs, and you just see it slide in like this. The goalie's over here. We're like this looking, and you just see it. You just see it slide under his legs, and then it's just the puck going in the net. And it's like so much emotion going off, just because of like just even the journey that we took to go there both times. But just as a Leafs fan, like my entire life, I've been watching the Maple Leafs, and they've never been like really good. And then the past few years, they've been good. You really never get a really good goaltender, and then they just like we get to the playoffs and we lose, and it was just like so many years of like that happening that I was like, all right, I'm not watching the Leafs until the playoffs because I know they're gonna get there, and then we'll see what happens. So then they won that. Then we lost to Florida, and it was like that feeling of like, oh, that was our best chance to win the cup. And our best chance was the other year when we were up 3-1 on Montreal, I think, and we lost. And Montreal went to the cup and lost to the Lightning. I think that was our best year. We should have won the cup that year. But at the same time, like it was during the COVID era, and I have said that if the Leafs do make the cup, like I'm going to Toronto. Not really to be at, like, I would definitely want to go to at least one of the games, maybe one of the earlier games or whatever, but just to be in the city, man. Like, when the Leafs win and the Leafs win the cup, like, just how does Toronto feel after that? Like, my brother was there Jason was there when the Raptors won. I was, like, in college and I had come. I was, like, planning to come, like, after that, like, a couple of weeks later. And, of course, like, when you plan things out months in advance, like, I'm not thinking that the Raptors are going to win the championship. But then the Raptors win and he was there. But they went to the parade, like they got to the parade like after it had happened and stuff. So, but even so, just like that feeling of Toronto when the Leafs win, man, that'd be so sick. So I'm definitely trying to see that. So the Leafs have my like emotion a little more just because of how long I've been watching them. The Ravens I've been watching since like '04 or '06, '05. So, you know, and they did win the Super Bowl in 2012. So as a kid, I got that, you know, that feeling of like your team won, you know. But then when you realize that it's not really about who's the better team, sometimes maybe it's about the story, you know, and that's sad too. So it's just sad. Like there'll be plenty of times Jason and I'll be watching, and then we'll be rooting for one team, and then you just see like you see something in the game that's not right, and you're like, and you instantly switch, and you just vote for the other team. You're like, nope, I don't want them to win now because you know that they got cheated in the slightest. You know, and then maybe if another call gets called the other way, and then you're like, all right, now you're like, what? Like, dude, this game is like, you know, this game is whack now, bro. You know, and there's so many different things about the, you know, I don't really want to go into my first solo, just trying to expose like big corporations, but you know, so I probably won't go into all of that. But you know, so maybe it's a good time to I'm gonna hit a random topic so that I segue somewhere. Oh, I've been watching the Cat Williams, Shannon Sharp interview. I'm sure a lot of people have. Let's see, 19 million views. Yeah, man. Shout out to Cat Williams, man, dude. He literally saw a platform where people were going on and speaking about him, and the first thing he does is he goes on there and just rips on them. And just telling truth, man. That's fucking sick, dude. And then he goes into Cat Williams, like Cat Williams too, where you know he's about to say whatever he's got to say. You know, so shout out to him, man. Shout out to Shannon Sharp for letting that happen. You know, hell yeah, man. That's why this thing, man, just talking to like, I hope people want to come and talk with me one day, man. You know, 'cause I feel like I got a good conversation. I'm great at, uh, you know, finding the right things to say. Not in a way of like, oh, fine, like, oh, if I say this, she'll fucking date me, man. You know, and oh, I hit this. Ooh, I can say that. Ooh, you know, not that, but in the sense of like conversation where people are saying something and then you pick up on what they're saying and you say in a way that everyone can kind of receive it and everyone's like yes, and then we can move on to things like that, navigation things, navigator stuff, you know. All right, first random topic. I'm gonna do four probably. What piece of technology would look like magic or a miracle to people in medieval Europe? All right, that's easy. Fucking the iPhone. I'm holding it. People will be like, "What? Like you can talk to other countries? There's other countries. There's another. There's a wait. There's a North America. Or if not America, it's North. It's just Earth for the Native Americans, man. And then you bring this piece of technology, dude. This is like some time traveler shit, man. You can talk to people via vocal face. You can speak into text. It always looks at your face and generates your facial recognition, but navigation, it always tracks you. Navigation, got the compass, for when you are gonna, who uses the compass? Let's be real, bro. Like, why not just get a real compass if you actually use it? And then calculator, apps, games, so many things. Like, you could show someone Flappy Bird and they'd be like, what? Like, ding, 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 oh. And meanwhile, they just fucking went out for 3 days to fucking catch some game. I don't even know Europe. I haven't been to Europe, so I don't know how much of it is like like United States. Like how much of, like, I know that the states, like if we were Europe, each state would be a country, right? So I'm sure there's some that are more like island or whatever, might have more mountains or whatever, but I haven't been there to know, or have I spent enough time on Google Maps? So, but yeah, they're probably out there just fucking, man, drinking wine with fucking shrooms in it or whatever they put in that shit, on some Game of Thrones shit. Fucking, yeah, man. You can play mute. You just pull out Spotify and just fucking show them fucking Baby Shark. Yeah, I wouldn't do that, but I'll probably show them like Bob Marley. That would probably blow them away, man. But then they would be like, what, and like, how would you even process this? And then would there be able to talk? Like, could you like, if I was to go back and show people this now, would I be able to communicate with people from now? Like Cartman in South Park when fucking he gets sent to the future and then he uses like the past phone and then people like prank call from the future. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So I would say yeah, the iPhone. I didn't say too many actual good reasons why it would be crazy, but I don't know, man. There's so much you can do. Let's just see maps, calendar, notes, photos, camera, editing, fucking social media. Like, bro, like this is definitely. And then a UFO, I guess, or what the technology that we use from them. I don't know, something like that. But the easiest one, phone in my hand. That's what I'm going with. What piece of technology would look like magic or a miracle to people in medieval Europe? And I would say the phone, or now that I already read it, something medical. Like a CAT scan, MRI, one of those things where it's like X-ray. We can find out what's wrong with you. We can fix you up. You know what I mean? And then a robot doing it. That that's like weird for us, right? But imagine that, like you're fucking pulling up in a wooden horse to trick these motherfuckers. But now you can just fucking put in their coordinates and drone strike them. So, all right, let's just get off that topic. How have TV shows changed over the years? TV shows. Well, cartoons aren't nearly as good. Cartoons are weird. They don't. It doesn't feel like cartoon. It feels like animation and like targeted animation instead of like subliminal messages in the cartoon, but like the cartoon is the cartoon. Just like there's so many like I can name some like Jimmy Neutron, Codename Kids Next Door, Fairly Odd Parents, even like the Looney Tunes. People in SpongeBob might be one that missing, but SpongeBob was good, man. SpongeBob, um, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy was scary. Courage the Cowardly Dog, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was lit. Um, Dexter's Lab, you know. When those shows came on, you were fucking lit. Avatar was a good one. That came out a little later. That was like the peak of like where before it crossed over. And then of course like you got like South Park. Like that's like it's cartoon, but it's really like a comedy show, right? Where South Park is one of those shows that you can go back and like you're almost like doing history lesson of like what the times were like back then. Like I wish we had South Park for the medieval times, see how it was. Like really, instead of like what they like kind of try to tell you every year in school, they give you like a little like one year they'll tell you that you know Christopher Columbus founded America, and then the next year they tell you that there was 13 colonies, and then the next year they tell you that they murdered like millions of civilians, and natives, and then they did horrific things after that and all that, and they just like slowly give you that. But it would just I feel like that would be if I could make something, it would be cool to be able to like one, it'd be cool to like travel. I guess travel invisibly in that sense where you could like because I was thinking it'd be nice to be invisible because you can like go into rooms where you aren't and you can see what people say about you when you're not there. I mean, that would be like comments on Instagram in one way, but then on another way, you could like really you would know more about these people, which you would find out in time anyway, so you can do that anyway. But still, it's like it would be nice. In some instances, it'd be nice to know. And then on the other side of where I was thinking was that going back in time and being able to just watch the JFK day and watch like MLK and watch, you know, Bob Marley, like a performance, like so many things that you could just go back and just see, like, okay, what actually happened here, you know? And on one surface, it would look just like what, like it could be like a cup knocking over, and then you like person knows what's in the cup, one person does, like all those stuff where you might just see a cup knock over, but just being able to see like, okay, let me see the event, and maybe like you can see like the surrounding events and just get your own perspective on what happened. That would be nice. So that would be some cool inventions that I would bring into the world if I had the ability to at the moment. How have TV shows changed over the years? I mean, I would say like what you can do in them, you know. Like I hear like Joe Rogan and them talk about a lot how it used to be like you're trying to get your sitcom, you know, but now it's like there's podcasts and you can like there's different out like Netflix specials, and they always had specials, but you know, different ways that you don't really have to get like like sitcoms aren't really like the main thing anymore like that, you know, but just like movies like Dodgeball and Talladega Nights and Step Brothers and, you know, Wedding Crashers and all those movies, man. All those movies were so funny, man. And you can't really make a movie like no one new can come and make a movie like that, or they just won't. But those guys could make like they could make a Dodgeball too. So Sandler, or not Adam Sandler. I'm so sorry, Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn. If you guys wanted to make Dodgeball too, man, you guys could reopen the door to that kind, as well as like Will Ferrell and Adam Sandler. Like Adam Sandler has great movies too, Longest Yard, Waterboy. A lot of people like Happy Gilmore, of course. You know, Grown Ups is a good family one. You know, and respect to all those guys for putting all their friends in the movies, man. That's so beautiful to see. So shout out to those guys. But yeah, I think just what for how they changed what you can put in them. A lot of TV shows now are like crime, mystery, murder. You know, and then like Marvel's got the like renditions of old shit. Like nothing, there's nothing like Rick and Morty's new, The Boys is new, but it's still superhero stuff. But I like how they did it where it's like if it was superheroes were actually in our world now, how to be, and that's kind of cool. So, um, but and since I'm only 26, I can't really speak, or 27, I can't speak too much on how TV shows have changed too much over the years. But I would say just what's put in them, what are like, you know, they used to like slap women in shows, and you know they used to do like they used to, and that's not like the best example obviously, you know. Someone made a point that they used to like smoke cigarettes all the time and it wouldn't have a warning in it, and now there's a warning if like there's tobacco depiction, you know, where it's like, but back then they put that in. This is what he was basically saying. Back then, I can't remember who it is, so sorry. But back then they put that stuff in movies because that's what people did. Like people smoked cigarettes and blah blah blah. So now what they in movies, it should be like he was saying, like it should be people on their phones like looking down. That should be the background, and like no one talking to each other and shit. You know, so that those are some of the things I would say how TV shows have changed. What you can put in them, um, what effort you do to make them. Because before you had to build the sets, man, building sets and going to different countries. They still do that a little bit, but you know, but now they build these with the green screen, and it's like some of the stuff you don't have to green screen. Like you can, but you don't have to do. Like you might. Why not spend the extra dollars to make it real? And that's why it's better when it is like that, you know. But they cut the corners, so you get so many of these like, you know, rust products and planned out shows that are like planned for negative purpose or influence the youth in a certain way, you know. And that's why, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the cartoons were done to influence their way, but also some were just to entertain children and give them good lessons in there or whatever. But now like think about it, Jimmy Neutron, boy genius. The man's got a freaking fat head, big brain, and he can invent a bunch of shit. In the movie, they go to space, like all that shit. And then now, like, you got Paw Patrol, and it's like an ambulance dog and a fire dog and a cop dog, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, what happened to Jimmy Neutron fucking inventing things and flying into, like, not just flying into space, but creating, like, better technology and failing and, being embarrassed and, so many different things. Like, and Timmy Turner having Fairly Odd Parents and having his godparents were fairies and he could get whatever wish he wanted, and showing you, like, just because you can get anything you want, it's not gonna turn out like that. Like, you got to be careful what you wish for. Like, so many good things like that. And now it's like Paw Patrol, and that's just one example. But I don't know. Maybe I'm a little skeptical or cynic on the things like that. But how TV shows change over the years, what you can put in them, how much effort gets put into them, um, and overall care for product. Like, what are you actually putting out? What are you actually doing? I would say those are the ones. And it just not being the necessary, like, you don't need to have a TV show to be successful anymore, like, in certain areas. So it's not as much as a necessity as it used to be. So that's how. If your life was a meal, what I don't know. If this is what it says. If your life was a meal, what kind of meal would it be? What kind of meal would it be? Whatever you need it in that moment. Like, sometimes you might just need like a milk, like a smoothie to get you back feeling good. Sometimes you need a nice steak to digest for 3 days. Sometimes, you need a nice home cooked meal. Sometimes you just need a little quick one to get you going. Sometimes you don't need anything. So I would say whatever, if your life was a meal, what kind of meal would it be? And it would be a meal that was needed at the time for each individual who would be eating me. Yeah. All right. What is the most annoying thing about your phone? Most annoying thing about your phone is that you don't have full control over it. Like, you can't really filter what gets sent there. You can't really decide what tracks you, what doesn't. You can't really decide what you like. You can't go to the Apple store and build an iPhone. You can, like, do that with, like, you can go to fucking Disney, build a lightsaber. You can go fucking build a Nike shoe. Maybe not build one, but you can, like, change the colors on it. You can customize it, man. Maybe I don't need all the apps. Maybe I don't need to have a compass on my fucking phone. Maybe it's cheaper without the compass, man. I'll go buy a compass, man. Things like that. There's just, you don't have, you don't have full control over it, in this item. When you have a baseball bat, you have full control over the bat. You control when it swings, how hard, where it's going, Now the ball, you can't always control where the ball is going to go, but you can aim, right? So, but the phone, you don't control what you do. You don't control, like, you do, but, like, you're getting subconsciously attacked by ads and algorithms and whatever. So many different things to keep you on it, to get you to buy the next thing, to get you thinking about this, to get you mad about that. And it's just, but in this day and age, it's become such a necessity in life for people. And there's so many people that you, like, right now, I don't really have right now it's better to have it in my life than not. But I'm sure there's going to be times where it's better not to have it. It's better to leave your phone. I'd rather have a flip phone just to have that. But for now, like, I don't. It would be hurting me more to go try to do something different besides just getting a flip phone or whatever, and then, But so yeah, just not control of over exactly what happens when you're on it or when you're not on it, what it does, what it doesn't do. If you could choose what it does, like imagine a phone, you could just choose like it doesn't track your out, like all it does is just only the buttons you press, it does, and things like that. That would be nice. So yeah. What was the last movie you watched? How was it? Ooh, this is good. I watched Free Guy. I've seen it before. I saw it in theaters. Free Guy on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, Ryan Reynolds, I think his name is. Yes. He's the main character in it, and the premise is that he's an NPC in um he's an NPC in this game called Free City, and it's basically about the algorithm that the original algorithm that was made for the game was built for like AIs to like get to grow and get feelings and stuff, basically become alive, right? I think it was called Life. And he basically shows signs of that. And I'm not gonna ruin the movie. People haven't seen it, but it's really good. It gives you a good perspective about just a different. Uh, it's cool because there's movies like that where it's like they're like just like music. It'll be a song where you think it's about one thing and then it's about another thing. And you think that maybe the movie's about like just a fun movie about like a video game character, finding freedom or like, in that sense. But really it also pertains to people in the sense of people find themselves in this routine where they do the same things every day and it's all the same and mundane and they don't think for themselves or do things that they want to do, or they just, they're kind of trapped in this cycle. And then a moment happens in the movie where it changes his course of life and everything, and he starts, seeing color in different ways, and in his brain starts activating in so many different. I'm looking at the Mac, the screensaver's going, so it's like waving, so it's funny to when I'm talking. I'm just like kind of getting lost in that, but it reminds me of the movie, of what it looks like or whatever. So in that sense of just like expanding thought, mind, feeling, shit like that. It was a good movie, man. Free Guy. Definitely recommend it. Um, it's got some good messages in there. I do think that They Live is the best movie ever made, and I stand on that. They Live. If you haven't seen it, go see it on whatever platform you can find it on, or go buy it somewhere where they sell old movies. Yeah, man, They Live. That's my favorite movie, man. I'm not sure how long I've been going for. Probably like 40. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, now I'm kind of. Let's see. I don't know. This is a good one. I feel like this is a good one to end on too. It says I'll read it out loud. It says, when do you want to retire, and what do you want to do when you retire? This is the thing, man. I don't think there's should be like a goal where you just stop. It's like I get it, like retiring from like I want to retire from my job today. For sure, the mundane, that job. I want to retire from that, and what I would do would be this, and everything else I do when I leave work every day, or every day that I do work, and when before I go, and everything I do around work, I would do that 100% more with the time that I was given by not having to go to work. But what I was gonna say is I don't think that, like, I don't have a vision where I'm like never doing anything. I feel like until I'm gone, I will be doing something. And now more now you can do as a younger body, like, you know, I can sustain more things that are like maybe like heavier objects, or take a toll on you, things like that. You can sustain more. So those types of things you'd be able to do, and eventually you have to retire from those and graduate into something else. But I don't know. When I think about like this, like, would you ever need to really retire from podcasting? Not really. If people liked what you said, if you hit the right marks and you're speaking truth to people, and you have good conversations with other people, and enough people feel like they want to engage and listen to you, I mean, there'd be no reason to stop talking, because you're always going to have something to say, especially if you're speaking from the heart, conscious, the essence, soul, whatever you want to layer it into. As long as you're speaking from that, and you're in a and I'm in a path of guidance. So if I keep doing that, then there'd be no reason to retire from something like this. Music, like, maybe you don't have to tour every day or go to, but you can like do a show a year, two, what I mean? So it's like, there's so many things that I don't think that I will really ever really retire. I think that I will rest and put things down that don't need to be really touched anymore, and focus on something else. But I think just retiring and just looking over like a lake or an ocean or whatever for the rest of the time, like, isn't the play, unless the world is at peace. Because if the world is at peace, then who knows what that even means as far as like what people do on the day to day besides innovate or whatever, sing, laugh, whatever. You know what I mean? If life is a big majestical, is that a word? I don't know, spiritual party, where everyone's trying to enjoy themselves as much as they can, and loves one another and supports each other, like, then maybe sitting on the beach with a J isn't as bad every day, but like, just sitting here now and looking at the world, like, it's hard. I haven't done enough or had a chance in enough, like, with enough eyes or light, or we haven't done I haven't had enough moments like that yet to be ready to pass it off for someone else to do it, or say like, I've done my part, and I just need to relax a little more, and I'll still do some stuff, but maybe not put so much pressure or thought into it, but at this point there hasn't been enough. Like, there's so much more, there's so much farther to go. The distance is infinite, so I'm trying to make it there, one day at a time, one moment at a time. This is the Gauntlet. First one by myself. I think it's going pretty well. I think I've done well to keep a fluid form of solo conversation, I guess. On a microphone, of course. And use the phone to get some sort of, show me some side streets to go on a little bit here, but I don't know. I think that for me, this is good. I'm going to continue on the Gauntlet to at least get back to where we were, or where we should be, of at least one a week. And, I like it when there's everyone here, because the conversation bounces off multiple sides, multiple views and energies, and so, and of course, like, at the end of the day, like, I'd rather be around people that love me and people I love than to be alone. Everyone needs some alone time, but not forever, otherwise we wouldn't be on the world with millions of people. So I don't know, I hope that at the end of the day, we always hope that one day the world would be at peace and there'll be harmony. But I think on a short-term goal, like, how can you get your life to be like that? And of course, like, maybe not your life, but your home. Like, you need, like, if your home and your garden is well kept, positive energy, growth, love, That's like, then of course, like, the world will still be the world, but at least when you're at home, you have peace. And then, you have to leave home at some points. And when you leave home, you're ready to battle what it is that you have to battle or overcome, or, light the torch for, or whatever your path is. Those things will come into fruition, and those things will be more apparent when you start moving towards them. You know, if you, like, I was telling someone earlier, it only takes a moment. It only takes a moment, a second, an instant to change, but to open up the door of possibility, the realm of the spirit of life, the other side, you know, the unlocking higher dimensional thought. Once you see it once, like, you'll always go try to find it. So it's like, and some people just don't know that it's there because society and whoever you want to call them, or whatever you want to say about it, whoever runs the algorithms per se, they have boxed people in based off going to school and just subconsciously training people, advertise, like, so many different things to act or feel or do in a certain way, to get in that NPC cycle, So some people have just hadn't had a chance to look or see the door, and, like, once you see the door, it takes a little. Once you open, if you can open the door for someone just to look for just a moment and see life, endless, instant possibility, destination, purpose, spirit, past, present, future, all that, just a glimpse, then they will work towards what it is. Like, no one, you're not going to be, like, unless you take, like, DMT or something, you're not just going to be in 15 seconds, like, a master. Like, Goku took a long time to become a Super Saiyan. He didn't just, it was always in him, but he didn't just wake up and was like, yep, Super Saiyan, yep. No, he had to go through so much, and then he had to grind, even in death, he had to grind to get there. So it's like, but he always had, but he always knew there was always something that was pushing him or guiding him or whatever. And then once he saw the possibility, the potential, the growth, whatever, then he spent his mind on achieving it and getting to that point. So all you gotta do is show someone the garden, just in that moment, just let them see, just get them to hear it, see it, feel it for 1 second, and then let them do the rest. It's almost like Inception, but you're incepting them to help themselves realize something that they need to realize within themselves, and that we all need to realize in ourselves, of our entire past, present, future, life, love, spirit, all that. We need to get in tune with that, because once we do that, then you start making decisions and moves, and your movements are based off of that thought process versus, like, go to work, get a job, 9 to 5, get a family, split up, spend money, buy this, buy that, get a new car, new phone, take this pill, it might kill you, things like that. All that will fucking, there's like, at the end of the day, I'd rather be on the side of love, beauty, passion, connectivity, growth, overall just love. And it take a long time to achieve things, or maybe not achieve exactly what I'm confident that we will achieve what we want to, and what we can do, and what we're set out to, we will achieve. But at the same time, if the game is an entertainment business and not a sport, then the referees will get in the way in some way. There'll always be flags thrown. There'll always be something going on to stall you. But if you're supposed to win at the end of the day, you'll make the plays that are made. You'll be in the right spot at the right time, and it'll come your way, man. So that's how I feel. Think we'll get there. At the end of the day, I'd rather live on the side of the love side, and go through whatever suffering that brings than suffer through the 9 to 5 money, have do all that, and get to the end of the road where all you have time for is to just sit on the porch and you look back and realize you missed out, and you got to redo it. And I'm not trying to redo it. I'm just trying to keep doing it. So, yeah. They Live, great movie. Meet the Robinsons, great animated movie. South Park, great comedy. Shout out to all the podcast people. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Shout out to all those comedians out there in Austin and all the ones that are just truth tellers. Cat Williams, Dave Chappelle, just truth tellers, bringing you, not backing down, from the pressures of Hollywood and money and all that shit. Just fucking staying true to who they are. People need that. I think one of the things Cat Williams said was, we can't let liars control the narrative, basically. Like, you have, at some point, the liars have to be brought to light that they're lying. So it's just like, people who should be telling the stories are the people who tell the truth. So, in that sense, if you're a truth teller, keep doing that, man. Because no matter what comes from it, it's worth the cost to help someone else find truth, man. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I guess I'll do one more just to see what it comes up with. Yeah. Are there any songs that always bring a tear to your eye? That's a good one. I wouldn't say always, because sometimes you're not in the mood to really, like, sometimes you're in the space, like, you don't think you're in the space to cry, and then you do cry, but it's not the time you don't feel it like that. But I would say, some of my songs, when you kind of forget about them for a little bit, and it's like a feeling that you're kind of missing, or and you remember that you went through this, and you have a song, and that song hits at the right moment, that will definitely get you to cry. But I would say the one that always gets me to cry or whatever is which is funny because I brought the movie up, Meet the Robinsons. At the end, Little Wonders by Rob Thomas, I think, comes on, and he's in he basically goes through the movie, boom, boom, basically knows his future, he knows what he has to do to get there, and he starts doing it. And that's like the start, and then it like shows the progression to the end, like a little quick, like 2 minutes with the song. But that's going on. I was like, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate, time falls away, and these small hours, and that shit, when he's doing it and you just watch the movie, dude, that shit makes me cry every time, man. It's so beautiful, man. I can't remember who made that movie. I guess I'll look it up real quick. Who wrote Meet the Robinsons? Should give him a quick shout out. But that's what I look for in movies, man. Where, like, the movie's about this, but dude, you can find so much more in it. Like, the person took the time for the movie. Just like a joke, like Calvin was talking about a joke. Like, you have a joke and it could be funny and you could get applause from it, but until you like work it, like the funniest jokes are never complete because you always work them and you always teeter them a little bit. But a movie has to get complete at some point. So, point of like tinkering with something, an idea, to get to the point where you can get the most out of the idea, get the most fruit from this tree. Not for greed, not money, but the most fruit as in what will grow, how many seeds will you plant with this idea. That's just so beautiful, man. Story by Nathan Greeno. or Greno and William Joyce. So let's see what other movies he did. Just to go, he's in Tangled, Bolt, Meet the Robinsons, Brother Bear. Look at that. So that's that guy. Those are some of the ones that stuck out to me. And then William Joyce, that was Nathan Greeno. William Joyce. Roly Polioli. That was an old one, eh? Robots. Hey, shout out Robin Williams. That was a good one. Meet the Robinsons. Yeah. Yeah, man. So it seems like these two just came together. They had some good ideas, man. They really cared, man. They really cared. They made a great movie because of it, man. And I've been extremely influenced by it in different ways, different times of my life, from a young kid to now. So that shit just fucking speaks to me. It's so beautiful. So I definitely want to get into that, the animated movie side of life. And, telling stories. Yeah, I guess just telling stories, man. I guess maybe bring it into music a little bit too. Like, maybe start making music that's like a story of, just create a story, but you're giving lessons in it. I don't know, just the idea of storytelling. Personal stories that actually happened, or just stories, like writing stories for people to learn from or get entertainment from, or whatever they get. So maybe I'll move into that direction. But I definitely have an animated movie idea. I'm gonna get the storyboard done. That way when I meet Seth Rogen, hopefully he sees this at some point, I will be ready to show him the movie and we can make it. So that's the plan, man. Overall, new year, feeling good. 2024, big year should be. A lot of stuff's going to happen in this year, I feel like. Personally, for the group, for people in general, I think it's going to be a big year. We've been waiting for this year not really waiting, but this year has been on our minds for some time now for different reasons. So I'm excited. This is day 2 of the Gauntlet, episode 15, on the quest to 20 before 20. So next Thursday, it's Friday right now, turning Saturday. Next Thursday is the technically scheduled date for episode 20. So if I can get to episode 21 by then, that would be sweet. I probably will, because now I started it like this. I've already done one by myself now. I will probably feel more comfortable, or maybe have a more guided direction instead of using the phone or the magical technology that you would show medieval Europe. Instead of having that guide me, maybe set it up so I can guide myself. But I don't know, I think I did pretty good. I think I touched on some good topics. I think I fluently went through on my first solo Joan. Ocean Waves, episode 15. I'm Indigo, Reyen the Navigator. Anyone who watches this, will watch this, jumps on the train, the journey, wants to be a part, is just a fan, just a human being who acknowledges truth. Anybody, I love you, and I appreciate you, and I will not let you down. We might wobble, but we will not let you down, and that's facts. We're here to grow, connect, love, cherish, blossom, bloom, create, transcend, elevate, connect. Indigo, Reyen the Navigator. Hopefully I brought you some good knowledge or thought or understanding or just peace or enjoyment from this at any point, whether it was 1 second or 10 or the entire time. I appreciate you. I'm out, for real. Peace. Indigo, Reyen Navigator, episode 15, Ocean Waves. Ocean's on arrival, all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. I'm sure we're on Pandora, YouTube, Tidal, all that stuff. Whatever you got, we're on there. New music coming soon from all of us in different ways. And just much more to come. 100% much more to come from Ocean on arrival. So if you're already liking what's going on, that's great, because this is just this doesn't even scrap what's going to actually be what it will be. It doesn't even touch it. So because of that, I really appreciate you if you're rocking with us. If you need that little edge, the little nudge to come onto the ship, I feel that, and we will have something for you real soon. All right, man. I'm out. Love y'all.